Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering Knock at the Cabin. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. We were just enjoying our current cup so much, we decided to do another repeat. Mostly because the last episode was so short from Jess. But anyways.
I told you it would be.
I am drinking the Republic of Tea Stress Less Winter Mint.
Maybe I should have chosen that one.
Maybe. It's got peppermint, lemon peel, spearmint, lemon balm, licorice, ashwagandha, lemon juice, lemon verbena, and wintergreen flavor.
And I am drinking Republic of Tea's Beauty Brain Lemon Balm Kiwi Tea. It's got ginkgo biloba, lion's mane mushroom, lemon balm, kiwi, white hibiscus, and blue spirulina. We're dressed warm because it's finally cold here in Texas. And the air is super freaking dry.
Yep.
Super dry.
Yep. But
just for context.
Well, I'm going to cut the coughing out, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, never mind then. Fine.
Who wants to hear coughing in their ear? I don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
But thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our lovely tea sippers out there, for yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So, the summary for Knock at the Cabin. A family vacation is interrupted by 4 intruders, saying one of them has to die to stop the apocalypse. The family tries to figure out if the intruders are crazy or are telling the truth as time is slowly ticking by. So for entertainment, this movie, it's like, I am not super good with like tense movies. So this one was kind of tough to rate for entertainment because, like, yes, it was definitely entertaining. Like, it was doing the purpose, but it's not a movie that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this all the time because this is such a great movie. It's like, no, it's just like, it's. I
think it messes with her anxiety a little bit, guys.
Oh yeah. Anxiety. But
let's see, we have people breaking into a house, we have hostage situations, airplanes crashing, we have natural disasters. We're just ticking off our anxiety list here.
I know. Yeah, for real. I will say I really, like, I didn't notice it until they mentioned it was like the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And once they said that, I'm like, that's so true. And that is so cool. What a cool freaking idea. Like, it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
I mean, the creativity is definitely there. This one I don't feel like had that many twists. I mean, maybe the twist is actually real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they weren't actually crazy.
Well, that and when they killed themselves.
Yes, I wasn't expecting them to do that.
Yeah, and that's how they set off the next chain. That was interesting.
Yeah, but then I was like, so if they didn't kill themselves, then the apocalypse wouldn't happen?
Something to ponder.
Yeah. It's like, what would have happened if they didn't kill themselves then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I really like the family dynamics. I like how it's a gay couple and their small adopted child. And I really like how, first of all, they didn't make them like the 90s, early 2000s, like stereotypical like gay men, like they actually gave them personalities, dynamic personalities. And I like how they showed, I mean, the girl, she was definitely very convincing. Is like, if a child was in that situation, that's exactly how I thought a child would react. Like, and then the couple, I like how each of them had their different views about it, on how to handle it.
And different reactions.
Yeah, different reactions. Like, all of the characters within that movie were pretty dynamic. I will say, the nurse stood out, but the cook or whatever, she kind of blended more into the background for me.
A little bit.
Just because the three other horsemen characters were just like so much stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, like Rupert Grint is in it.
I know.
Yeah, and he was the first to die.
Yeah.
I'm like, did they run
He was also a bit of an a-hole in that movie.
Yeah. I feel like it was a good role for him to play to change things up.
Definitely, for sure.
And he played it really well.
Leonard, the guy that played Drax.
Yeah, he does a really good job too.
And for context, I'm saying he's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, this movie, I think I'll rate it a 7.5 because it's a solid movie. But it's not a movie I'm going to go to over and over again just because it is uncomfortable. It is about the apocalypse. It's like, I don't really want that kind of energy in my life all the time.
Fair.
But it is a really interesting concept. And like, I know for me, I was like, well, I mean, of course, I've never been in that situation before, but if
I would hope not.
Yeah, I would hope not. But it's like, if it is a situation where it's like your death could guarantee the salvation of the entire world, it's like I feel like that's a sacrifice that is like 100% like reasonable and something that I would do. But then I do like the fact that they play around. It's like, well, like, what if the apocalypse actually isn't happening? Like, what if they're crazy? So it's like, I like their reactions there. And I think it's absolutely reasonable that they didn't, like, automatically believe them. They had to see the proof. And even as they're seeing the proof, they're, like, playing it off on, like, oh, well, like, with global warming, we know that this is, or climate change, we know this is happening. Oh, this disease has been around. This isn't anything new. But then, like, whenever the planes start falling out of the sky, they're like, well, can't really explain this one away.
Yeah.
And then that's when they kind of start to turn. So, but I like I can't remember if it's Eric or Andrew, the one that actually dies. Andrew.
Eric.
No, Eric. Okay. I like when that... Eric does come to the realization, like, his death, like, seems reasonable because it is for the greater good. But I also like the other guy's reaction on, like, well, what have they done for us? Like, all they've done is, like, hated us our whole lives. He's obviously had some experiences.
With his own parents, too.
Yeah. So, like, some really tough, like, conversations. And I really like how the movie, like, addresses it. So, yeah, if you haven't seen this movie before, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely a different M. Night Shyamalan type of movie. But it's good. It's good.
So, I'm going to give it a 7.75. I kind of want to give it higher, but I can't quite. It did hit me in the feels, though.
It does hit you in the feels.
Seriously, it almost got me to cry at the end. The acting was pretty decent from just about everyone. The cook does kind of fade a little bit into the background. The others were definitely stronger there. But I feel like this is one of M. Night Shyamalan's best, personally. Just of the ones that I've seen, this is definitely one of his stronger movies.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Old, which we haven't reviewed, but
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet.
This one's a lot better.
Yeah. But to me, it's a lot better than The Village.
We need to review that.
It's a lot better than the water one with the mermaid.
Is it Shape of Water? No, not Shape of Water.
No, it's not Shape of Water.
That's a weird movie. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I don't even remember what it's called, but it's better than that. I feel like it's kind of on the level of Signs. Maybe just a little bit higher. But I feel like the guy that plays Leonard comes across a little bit as Pedo Bear in the beginning.
Yes.
A little bit when he walks up to Wynn and starts talking to her.
It's like once you figure out that he's a teacher, it's like, okay, that makes more sense. But I
mean, he's trying to put her at ease a little bit and make it go a little smoother, but it comes across a little creepy. And I'm sure a lot of that also is just my mom instincts going, rawr, protect child, rawr. Like, this is stranger. She doesn't know him. This is bad situation. This feels weird and off. Mm-hmm. Little girl, go somewhere safe.
Well, and I'm really glad that they didn't go through the cliche of like, oh, I don't talk to strangers. It's like, oh, well, my name is blah, blah, blah. We're not strangers anymore. It's like, I mean,
they did a little.
Kind of. But it's like, he went about it a slightly different way rather than the plain, like.
He's like, I get that. This is my name. This is who I am. I'm here to try to be friends with you and your family.
Yeah.
And waiting for other people to arrive as well.
Yeah.
So. And he makes the distinction, too, when she sees the other people coming and he can tell that she's really, really nervous about it.
Yeah.
She asks, are those your friends? And he said, they're not really friends. They're more people I work with.
Yeah.
So, the distinction there is really interesting, and it helped a little bit with the image there because it was kind of creepy there for a little bit. Yeah. Little oogie. The arguments are great, and it's nice that they played a little bit of mind games, and they really made you wonder if there is actually something going on, or if it's like a shared delusion between these randos that just showed up and broke into the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did have to laugh a little bit at the newscast that showed the red dots spreading. It reminded me of the game Plague. Just a little bit. But also hits a little different now after the pandemic.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I know, it's like whenever they're showing like the hospital stuff, I'm like, flashbacks. Like,
yeah, we all just have shared trauma now.
Yep.
The chemistry between the couple is great. I love that their personalities are so different and so dynamic. It's not so stereotypical. And they really listen to each other. And they really care about each other, which makes it hurt so bad when Eric dies.
I know.
And then they just rip your heart out further when Wynn asks, did Daddy Eric save everyone? And then he cries. He hugs her and he cries with her. Just, no, I didn't need my heart today. Thanks.
I know. Honestly, what got me the most was when Eric was like, kill me while I'm thinking of the best of moments. Like, I'm picturing, our daughter all grown up. She's everything we want her to be. And like that really got me.
Oh my God, yes.
That's where I almost lost it. I'm like, keep it together.
Oh my God, yeah. I was doing so good through that part because that's what you would have to think about if you're the one that's going to make that sacrifice. But then just seeing the aftermath of a sacrifice. Because, he has to be the one to go, but he doesn't have to be there to pick up the pieces. And that just, it hurts. Especially when they cared about him so much.
Yeah, it was
So
a very
much.
close family. Like,
Oh
you
my
can tell
God.
that they all loved each other. They're very close. They're literally like a
Yes.
happy small family.
Absolutely.
Everything you
and such
could
a
hope for.
healthy family.
Yes.
So when Win asks, did Daddy Eric save everyone? Just twisting the knife further. With salt and lemon juice, shall we? God. The effects are good. Less is definitely more with this kind of movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't have to use much to make it super tense.
Yeah.
So, well done. Well done. But because it's a certain kind of movie, you have to be in almost a certain kind of mood to watch it. Or at least 100%. I do.
Yeah.
So, when you really just want to be punched in the feels, this would be a good one for that. But that's what I got for entertainment. It's well done. For sure.
So for realism's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, between the conversations that they have, the characters themselves, the reactions, like, all of it feels real. And especially, like, with this intimate of a movie where it's, like, such a small cast and they're all, like, close together, you really do need, like, strong characters in order to carry the movie through. So it does a really good job with that.
Like 7 characters until the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm going to rate it a 3 because it's like between like the conversations, your reactions, like especially like these. I like that when they first knock on the door, they look out the window. And then as soon as they feel like they're in danger, they immediately like go to the phone. They're like covering up the shades. Like they're doing whatever they can to prepare and to try and protect themselves. So they did an awesome job there. They
did what they could with what they had.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then being so to not be trusting of the intruders, to even like accuse them of targeting them. Because they were a homosexual couple. So kind of like, a person's reaction is to not trust them, jump to conclusions, things like that, like completely reasonable for that situation. I think, honestly, with their personalities, I did kind of predict that it was more than likely going to be Eric that was going to sacrifice himself. Just he seemed like the type that would. But I will say towards the end, it almost seemed like Andrew was like going to try and take his place instead. But then they kind of like switched back to Eric. But I feel like, Eric's willingness to sacrifice for the betterment of the world versus Andrew like kind of being bitter towards the world, being like, well, what have they done for us? Like they've done all of this stuff, like completely realistic and reasonable reactions. Like they finally, they're finally a couple. They finally have a happy family after all they've been through. And then that they have to tear that apart for the betterment of humanity. And so it's like they can either choose to die together or die as a family from the apocalypse, or shatter their happiness and save humanity. It's like a very difficult, especially with what they've been through, like a very difficult choice to make. As far as like the apocalypse stuff, like the tsunamis and stuff, that was different than other, like at first it started more realistic because tsunamis, it's not necessarily a giant wave. It's more like a surge of water. Like I've seen like the footage where it's like you just see like a surge of water, and it just like you see the whole it envelop like all of the coastal area of the city. It's not like a giant like wave as what you would normally think of. And so they had started off good like that, but then later on you do see like a wave that comes in. So I don't know how accurate that necessarily is. Now with the disease, that one is a little bit more difficult because they did say it technically had been going on for a little bit. So maybe it did build up to a point where they were in that emergency of a situation. But it did seem super sudden.
Yeah.
Like too sudden. But again, apocalypse. The airplanes, that I could only see being realistic if all other electronics were also breaking. Like if it was, I forgot what you call it, EMP or whatever. Yeah. That type of situation. But like planes specifically falling out of the sky and like all of the airplanes, unlikely.
Yeah, they did that more to help fit the narrative that they stated in the beginning of pieces of the sky falling down like broken glass.
Yes, which did fit.
Yeah.
And it was very like a good imagery.
Yeah. For
the apocalypse. That would be absolutely terrifying.
Oh yeah. For sure.
It's like not just for the people in the air, but it's like there's, we fly, there's so many flights in a day.
Yeah.
So I would be scared of a plane falling on me because it's like it's like.
Tell me about it. I live near an airport.
Yeah, it's very scary. Now the natural disaster one, that one I did see as being a little bit more plausible. Because, I mean, lightning is known to be, like, really destructive.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like having an unusually charged, like, lightning storm and having more lightning than usual. I could see that as potentially plausible, especially with climate change nowadays. Is like, the weather can be funky and it's just going to get worse. But yeah, so it's like... apocalypse aside, some of those events I could see more plausible than others. But for the most part, a lot of those seemed on the plausible side. It's just the biggest thing that knocks down realism is the fact that, like, Eric dying is the sole reason why the apocalypse is stopped. It's like, why them? Or I know they explain it in the movie, but it's just, it's... Yeah. So that's what I got.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like the sacrifice. It's supposed to be it's a Christian thing. But yeah.
And I want to make sure that I understood it correct, but they made it sound like every so often like they go through that cycle again and again. Okay. Yeah. I want to make sure I understood that right.
Yes. But it's a random family. They're just the horsemen, quote unquote, are shown a location, but it's like a half reset button, basically.
Yeah, but it's like I want to know how the horsemen work.
Yeah,
it's like first, like who is giving them these visions? Is it like a higher entity? Like what's the lore behind that? And then also like how are they chosen? Is it just like through reincarnation? Like how that works? Why, like, how many things did they just immediately believe it? Or did they actually, like, try and go to therapy and try and, like, use more modern day solutions first?
Well, it sounds like they did try to use more modern day solutions first because the nurse herself said, I was not religious before.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe it. I was trying other things, and then I found online that other people were having the same visions, and that's when she started to believe it.
Yeah, but and then like what would happen if they didn't die? it's like, would they have been killed by some other way, kind of like Final Destination?
Final Fantasy is an RPG.
So it's like, it's like if they didn't kill themselves, then death would find them, or whatever entity. Like, how does that work? I want to know. Because it's like, they seem to care so much about saving humanity, but they themselves are then contributing to the destruction of humanity. Like, tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Unless they view it as the only way to get the family to see that they're serious about what's going on and to sacrifice one of them.
Yeah, but it's like they're literally triggering the apocalypse, though. So it's like if they just... Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a little bit... Seems like a little bit of a plot hole.
Yeah.
But it is a very interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is definitely a difficult one to rate, realism-wise. But I think I'm going to give it a 3. It really is difficult to rate, though. I do see people finding each other on the internet that are having these kinds of experiences. That's a very, very common thing nowadays, is looking to the internet for answers.
Yep.
And finding like-minded people to share their experiences with. I feel like the people trying to get into the house were working way harder than they should have had to, because that cabin had a metric fuck ton of windows.
Yes. I mean, they weren't experts. They weren't very good at breaking in
They
necessarily.
weren't experts at common sense. Just saying. A curtain's gonna do fuck all. Just saying. You break through the back door, but you see that there's a couch blocking the path there. Oh, well, go find a window that's literally 3 feet away. But, this is fine. Let's just find the most difficult places to break into, because we can. Also, Leonard Drax, I don't know his real name, I'm sorry, could have easily broken that door like cardboard.
He's a big
Pretty
dude.
sure he's big boy. He's big boy. Sweet one from what I hear, but he's big dude. That door wouldn't stand a chance. Neither would any window ever in that place. No. Just no. And why did Andrew leave the gun in the car? It seemed like they had already unpacked and were relaxing there for a little bit.
I mean, I've heard of people keeping their guns in their car.
Gun in your car? In the trunk of all places. I could understand maybe the glove box or something. But why the trunk? Almost like they didn't fully unpack. A gun like that is typically used for home defense. Or self-defense. So why not bring it into the quote-unquote home that you're staying at?
Well, maybe they had it more for like the car ride, but then they felt comfortable enough in the cabin that they didn't think they needed it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't even compute to me. No. Especially with his mentality of, I need to protect my family. I don't trust other people.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense for his character.
I can see that. Yeah.
So, no. No. But the arguments were pretty solid. I like that he pointed out that it was a pre-programmed part of the news.
Yeah. Yeah. Like him walking through and trying to debunk as the movie went through.
And he is a lawyer. That's, kind of his job.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job about that. He didn't just automatically believe them, and he was trying to rationalize things and try to get things to a peaceful conclusion without, too much happening.
Yeah.
So he was trying. And he was trying to do it without escalating the situation, if he could. Now, once that was clearly not going to happen, he's like, okay, we need to make a plan so I can get to the gun that he should have had in the home, but, I'm just saying. I don't know how accurate the wave was, the tsunami. I don't know. But it does make an impact, seeing the bodies floating in the water.
Yeah.
When some of the footage is showing from a submerged point of view.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the news stories and the interviews that kind of like made it feel more realistic too.
Definitely. And I know the first time I watched it, my stomach dropped a little bit when Leonard walked closer to the TV and turned around and started saying the same thing as what was being said on the newscast.
Yeah. Like, how many times did he have to see that dream to have it memorized?
Yeah, that was awful. And Rupert did a really good job. He did a really good job conveying his fear.
Yes.
And despair. And anger right before he died. Oh, that was good. Mm-hmm. Good job. Well done. So, the lightning I could see for sure, but it's just, and a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies have this kind of feel to me, but it feels just out of the realm of real pretty much the whole movie, that it just misses the mark a little bit. Even if he makes it super realistic for most of the movie, it just, I don't know what it is. Something about it just doesn't quite get there.
Yeah.
So, but it is a really good, entertaining movie. It will punch you hard in the feels.
Yeah, you have to be emotionally prepared.
Oh, yeah.
It is very tense.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love the techniques that he used, though, especially when they're arguing for and against humanity at the end. And they put Andrew mostly in darkness and shadow, and Eric in light.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. And when he had talked about he saw a figure in the mirror, it was right before they killed Rupert. And if you watch that scene again, right before they kill Rupert, the light in the mirror is in the shape of a cross.
Oh. Interesting.
So you don't see a figure, but you see light in the shape of a cross, and then it fades right before they kill him.
Oh. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's a really good story. It shows that, yeah, there's a lot of bad with humanity, for sure, but there are things worth saving. If nothing else, Eric was making the point of our daughter's future is worth saving.
Yes.
Yes, our family is worth saving, but specifically our daughter's future. Yes. And what kind of future would she have in a desolate wasteland if everyone else is dead?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea. It just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye!